Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Youre Folani. My guest this morning, it's been quite a while, but we're happy to have Curtis back. Curtis Adigba, lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming back. It's been a while, but we'll manage it.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be back here.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
I thought we could just talk about an idea that, actually it's Governor Ortom of Benue State that put it into one's mind, contributing to, a lecture to the NUJ Press Week in Abuja. He had actually made the statement that, maybe it's time for government to start considering law-abiding and responsible citizens to be enabled to bear arms. Now, why not? Is the first instance. But then there probably are a lot of other reasons as to why exactly not. On what side of that discussion do you fall? Law-abiding citizens, responsible citizens, tested citizens to be able to bear arms, or no?
First and foremost, right now, there is no law banning law-abiding citizens from acquiring firearms.
There is no law banning?
Yes. So you can, if you think you want one, and you meet all the conditions, you can apply for one.
Well,
now, it is not the responsibility of government to say, everybody go and get arms.
No.
Government don't do that anywhere in the world.
No.
But once you have the enabling environment vis-a-vis the law and the process or the protocol for acquiring one, you can go and get one. So as we speak right now, I do not know of any law that says if you are qualified to get a firearm and you are a responsible citizen, you cannot get it. So I don't see, I don't even see any reason for that call. However, I will say that we have too many arms in circulation in the hands of the wrong set of people. That's why we're having this problem. And to then legislate in the form that everybody is entitled to just go and get this thing, you understand, even without conditions. Once you are responsible, who decides who is responsible? We'll be worsening our security situation.
Well, so, fortunately, just by coincidence, you happen to spend a lot of time in the U.S. as well as here. Now, it probably is, one of the most obvious examples of where civilians, have I think it's enshrined in their constitution.
The Second Amendment,
the Second
right?
Amendment.
Yes.
Now that's
that you can acquire firearms and keep.
Yes.
And for protection. But what we see
there
right
are so
now,
many conditions.
Last night there was a mass shooting in Indiana.
Exactly.
8 people were killed again.
And we continue to hear of these shootings.
This keeps happening, and most of this action are not by people who are licensed to even carry the guns. Some buy their guns online and from dark spaces on the internet, and they just go and murder people. So for me, I think the right thing to do now is, if I were in Governor Ortom's position, I think that thing should be a mute situation. I would rather call on the government to move against illegal arms possession in the country, leading to the problems that we have right now.
Which government has moved against, if we are going to remember? It has moved against it severally in the past, but
the enforcement.
I remember.
There's a pronouncement, and then there is the enforcement.
There was a time people brought in weapons to be destroyed.
Yes. And then people also, from time to time, will come and say we're surrendering our weapons because we've repented and all that. And then it takes some few months, and they go back to their action, to their trade. So,
but
it's a revolving cycle that is terrible, and it's taking a big toll on the lives of this country.
Now, truth be said, I don't think there's any country where it's as easy to get hold of a firearm easier than in the U.S. I even looked online, and Canada is similar, but still you have to go through a lot of rigors. You have to go through a lot of rigors, and I imagine such is the case here. Now, I'm not too sure because I have to admit I didn't research it. Small arms, sidearms, I think that's what they call them. They're different from assault rifles and all of that.
They are 15s and above. These are guns that can discharge up to 800 rounds in a minute.
So they're all sorts of specifications.
But these are super assault weapons.
Yes.
That you don't need them for personal protection.
But the mere fact that I have even a pea shooter, so to speak, even a pea shooter, the fact that if you're coming to do any damage, now this is just a theoretical situation, you're coming to do any mischief, the mere fact of knowledge that, look, this household might well be armed, So you can't just go in anyhow. Where I understand people begin to knock the door and say, open up. Who is it? It's Mr. Rogue.
If I'm coming to your house now, how do I know that you don't have a gun in your house? Given the situation that we have in Nigeria. Now, how does...
Your guess would be right.
How does an extra legislation that the government says, oh, all citizens of Nigeria go and get your guns and defend yourself? That's a recipe for anarchy.
Well, I wasn't putting it like that. unless you are saying that is what the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution does say.
No. See, the Second Amendment is that you have a right.
Yes.
Because that's
the whole point.
This is based on the concept that when the government fears the people, there's liberty. But when people fear government, there's oppression. And so when government wants to oppress the people should be able to fight back. That is the whole essence of Second Amendment right. Now, what we have in this country is that we have arms in the wrong hands of people. People that the government do not have a record that they have these arms, and they're using it to cause a lot of damage in the country. So we cannot continue to travel on that same rabbit hole and then say that's a solution. What we should be doing, therefore, is to say, okay, look, if there are existing laws that do allow for responsible individuals to acquire arms and protect themselves, and of course we have one, we can strengthen that. But not to call that government make a law that says everybody should go and get gun.
No,
that's a recipe for anarchy.
I don't think there's a country anywhere in
the world
that says that.
Again, we must also understand the attitude of the people. Look at the United States, for instance. In terms of ratio per population, given a given number, the United States don't have more arms than the Swiss. But you hardly hear about somebody being killed by a shooter in Switzerland. But it's a daily occurrence in the United States.
Oh, yes, almost.
So you have to take all these things into consideration before you make this kind of wide...
A suggestion. It was a suggestion.
No, I agree.
And I think it's, as you said, it comes back to that powerlessness of the people that anybody just starts banging your door with confidence simply because he knows that more likely than not you're not going to have a house. Now, they're not going to go to any retired military man's house or serving military man's house or policeman's house because they know that there's a reasonable assumption that he might have, some measure of protection.
I agree that some of these calls, are product of frustrations around the system. But here's the reality. And that reality is steeped in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why so many of us have called for state policing. And even to go beyond that to community and township policing. Because you see, the federal police system that we have today is insufficient to police and manage this wide country called Nigeria. Now, we have less than 400,000 policemen in this country, whether you like it or not. The convoys of our super executives, their homes are protected by policemen. Their wives' supermarkets are protected by policemen. Banks are protected by policemen. VIP movements are also protected. So what you then find is that the people, which is the critical mass, where the action really takes place, don't have enough policing. You have about, given the Nigerian population, you have about 1 policeman to about 1,000 people. The global standard is at 3.5 to 1,000. And you see, this Indian professor wrote a beautiful book called The Third Pillar. And he tried to explain why we have all kinds of issues all over the world. He said the successful society is built on 3 pillars. He talked about the marketplace, he talked about the government, and then he talked about the community. In most countries of the world, especially in Africa, the government is centered on protecting the market and the government and not the community. So you find that those who are in the corporations, the chief executives of the banks and the big organizations, they have policemen around themselves. They move around with convoy of policemen. You go to the government, the governors, their deputies, permanent secretaries, chief of staff, just name it, ministers, members of the National Assembly, they are well protected.
Exactly.
And then you come to the third pillar, the most critical, the community. they are under-policed, under-secured. And so they're seeping from their area into the secured area to cause damage.
Exactly.
So these guys do not understand that until the communities are protected, their high areas are not protected. That's why when governors traveled abroad, they don't need to carry their retinue of security aids from Nigeria because of equality of condition. A state governor can enter his car in America and drive out. He has nothing to fear. But how many governors in Nigeria can do that? So we need to secure the entire country for everybody.
You know, coming to this point that you made, it might be a smaller point in the larger discussion we're having, but this whole business about a governor stepping out and about 24 other men have to step out with him, we created that. That is our own Rankadede system. That's not, do you think that is a true reflection of how dangerous it is for a public official to be seen in public?
Where is the anecdotal evidence? How many governors in this country have been killed on the street by Nigeria?
So this is the point I was making.
Here's the problem. The convoy thing is a relic of the colonial system.
Yes.
They came into a territory that they don't know, and they are not welcome, so they needed to protect themselves.
But our people liked it.
Yeah,
it fits into our psyche.
Because of the heredity of esteem that it gives them.
Yes.
Once you're a governor and you have that convoy. Look, one day I was working with the former military governor, who was my friend, governor in two southwestern states, military governor. And there was this convoy that was barreling at us in front of the Babbage in Victoria Island. And I looked at him and I said, sir, you were once in this kind of bubble. And he said, I couldn't believe I was in one. I said, why? He said, because you see, looking back, he's so ugly. And I said, why?
But he inherited it.
No, he said, look, the problem is that you can't even do anything about it. Because you don't control, nobody seeks your opinion. You want to go out, they say, yes, sir, the vehicles are ready. They shepherd you in, you enjoy it for as long as it stays.
As long as you
But the truth of the matter is, and you've raised a very critical point, do we really need this convoy? Look at the funds. These were the same people who went around campaigning, shaking hands with people, buying corn, interacting with market women. Nobody harmed them.
Before you arrived in your high office.
Once you are there now, everybody wants to kill you. Why? And this is the point I keep making. The insecurity in this country will not be resolved until this attitude of we versus them comes to an end. And the way it will come to an end is to have equality of condition. Environment is the same for all of us. Governor, I believe that only the president and the vice president, because of the national implication of their offices, are the ones who should have an adequate convoy. Every other elected officer in this country, whether they are senator, senate president, we should have equality of condition as far as security is concerned. And you will see they will take the right steps and end the insecurity in this country.
But as you said, these kind of suggestions, I don't think many Nigerians would actually vote for it. I may be wrong, because there's the corollary of you have people exercising their rights. The very base of the pyramid that you said is the most important and the most populous. Everybody now has something. My guess is that it would be chaos, very much as you said. But these ideas, these thoughts are brought about by frustration, especially when you look in the other. The Americans have something about their right to protect their home and their family. So if you shoot a guy dead and you make the defense that I stood my ground, that it stand your ground rule. Now, they have gone very far.
But you see,
they have gone very, very far. I'm not suggesting that we are similar.
No, I think part of the problem that we have is that we don't learn from our experience and then build on them to provide a solution. Okay? We just have the same set of problems for the last 30 years, and we're talking about them. I say to people that when you look at, go back to the MPN time, during Shagari, Zik, and Awolowo campaign. And when you go through their programs, the things they promised they were going to do for Nigerians, and you come back now and pick up a party's program today, and the promises they are making, word for word, there will be no difference. So why are we struggling with the same thing over a period of 30, 40 years?
Kesandu, good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Uncle Youre, good morning. Good morning to the lawyer guest in the studio, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Adigba.
I agree with you totally, sir. I agree with you to a very huge extent. You see, I think the suggestion Governor Tom is making is because of what he has seen. is because of what he has witnessed. And to a large extent, you don't really blame him. This is just as a result of failed leadership in this country. That is just our problem. Sir, the lawyer there, sir, is it that we cannot combat terrorism and banditry in this country? Does it mean that nobody, as we speak today, people claim ignorance of where these people stay? A country like Nigeria. And the problem is that we invested so much power in Mr. President, who has the capacity to give orders and ensure and supervise that ensure that this thing is done. Remember the Kenyan president, what it took him to just do a very wonderful job here. I think we can actually do this in the willpower. And secondly, sir, there is a pertinent question that no Nigerian has been able to answer, or Mr. President has answered. Who is the chief sponsor of these people? How do they get up? Aside this time, they are now kidnapping people, probably and ask for ransom. How are they getting their food? They are staying in the bush morning, afternoon, night. This is something we can actually look at. We just had the protest. We used to have the protest here. They froze our accounts. So up to this moment, CBN cannot trace accounts of these people and who is actually funding them. We can end banditry unless, remember, a former head of state in Nigeria once said, if insurgency lasts for more than 24 hours, government is aware. God bless Nigeria.
Indeed, thank you very much for calling in. Interesting point that Kesandu makes, as he often does. Well, as he says, it's coming from frustration. And then he also identified what has also been mentioned quite frequently, that, you know, with good governance, which results in a good quality of life for the vast majority, all of this will, you know, go away. But in the meantime, before we get to that, because I imagine the authorities, the ruling party will tell you that it is not sleeping. It is working 24/7 on that same subject, and that, you know, progress is being made. It might not, you know the usual explanation. Progress is being made. It might not be showing yet, but we still have a problem, and it's quite frankly, people don't know what to do, because we seem to be at the mercy of anybody who decides to dub himself a bandit or terrorist, or in short, I just want to show that I am disgruntled and I can behave in an antisocial way, and I don't need to pay for it.
And I'll be rewarded.
And I will be rewarded.
In fact, I'll be rewarded. And I'm not going to...
Yeah.
Look, there are no consequences
So this is
for
the
bad
problem.
behavior in this country. That's the problem. Now, here's the issue as far as I'm concerned. You already have a bad situation. You are not going to help that situation or resolve that situation by doubling down on what has not worked for you.
Okay.
Law enforcement, like we said, is a problem in this country. So if you give more guns to people, okay, and we still don't have enough law enforcement, how do you control how people use these things? So for instance, I disagree with the Youre on a political point. I carry my gun in my pocket and I come to the studio and I shoot you dead because I want to be popular.
And all this while, you weren't aware that me, myself,
yes,
I happen to have my gun as well.
Look,
you know, so in short, it's chaos.
This is a country...
But this chaos is actually being experienced in a place like America.
Mr. Youre, but because of this, of the segmented and segregated level of authority for dealing with issues. For instance, do you hear any American calling on President Biden, on President Trump, or President Obama to resign because there was mass shooting? Have you ever heard such calls? That an American called on Biden or Trump or Obama to resign because there was a mass shooting somewhere in America. This is because you have people who are primarily responsible for the security of those areas. When they need help, they can call on the federal government. But the system we have puts everything back to the federal government because it's a federal policing system.
I hear you.
Now, and what people will tell you, when you talk about state policing, they will say, you know, it will be abused.
Well,
oh, governors are going to abuse it.
Let me come back to the point. Good morning, Abel. Abel has called in. I think we lost Abel. Yeah, he's gone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so the likelihood of governors abusing state policing is there. But do you know of any system that starts in a perfect form? Even before state policing started in America, it had its own issues.
So the point is, we got to start somewhere,
so we have
sometime,
to start,
no matter how small.
Yes, and as we move along, there are problems, we correct it and build on them and move forward. So that, because right now, let me tell you, if I had a choice, I would rather be a state governor in Nigeria than to be the president of Nigeria.
You think?
Because the people will cut the governor slacks all the time. They tell you that, look, even when a civil servant is not paid at state level, after the governor has collected The federal allocation for the month. They say this is Buhari government self. There's hunger everywhere. Nobody blames the governors. That's the truth of the matter. So when it comes to security, though the governors draw down on security votes, and again with fairness to the governors, if not for some of them, even the institution of the police would have collapsed. Because whether you like it or not, majority of the governors are funding the operations of police in their states, providing vehicles, deploying guns and ammunition.
Yeah,
so
right.
this is a system that is not working. You don't double down on something that doesn't work.
Let me check. Barrister Ralph in Owerri, Imo State. We got a replacement call from Imo.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for calling in.
God bless you. Honestly, I'm a first-time caller, and this is not funny at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound spiritual or whatever, but we should pray for Nigeria. My brother, part of what I wanted to say, you just put it up now. But the truth about it is that the way things are going, let it not end in these realities of discussion. Nigeria is gradually graduating into a failed state. If we're not careful, we might be competing with Somalia. People are scared. And like my brother said, everybody, Buhari, this is a collective responsibility that if you say you're a stakeholder, whether you're living here or staying abroad and writing nonsense on Facebook, we must face it now. Face it is not by hand. Tell ourselves the truth. Nigeria is digressing into a failed state.
Okay.
And if you watch the international community, they are watching closely. One, nations have moved forward into scientific innovations. Crime is no longer fought at the foot of carrying on AK-47 and shooting. People gather information. That's why you have intels. They move in, they find out the route. What happened in Youre? From what we are told, a group of young men, they are numbering up to 100. Where did they come from? Up to now, nobody has told us. How did they leave? Nobody knows. If you didn't discover it now, there are tendencies it will happen again. How could such thing happen without information dissemination? Somebody saying it's like this so that in case it happen in future, set up panel. I was watching CNN yesterday, and the president attended a policeman that was killed at the Capitol or whatever. He paid the whole nation they have to lower the banner. Today we can't even count. We only say, oh, it's not much. 30 died yesterday. No, it's not much. It's just 15. Until we come back and begin to take responsibility. What happened? How did it happen? Leave Buhari now. Which governor? Which traditional ruler? Which local government mayor or chairman? These things are happening in our communities.
That's it.
If nothing is done, Nigeria is going. This is not funny. I'm done. I don't want to take your time.
I
We
hear
need
you.
to fill up.
Yeah. Thank you very much for calling in, Ralph. Appreciate your call.
And Ralph is right. We have a system whereby local government set apart 5% of their funds to traditional rulers. What role are they playing in the society beyond ceremonial role? This governing a nation is a collective endeavor. Look, we must stop pointing, accusing fingers and get together. Like I said to people,
You know, I like the get-together part that you're talking about. You know why? You know why I picked on that particular thing? People that behave anyhow here, some of them that are, privileged enough to be able to go abroad, do not behave anyhow over there.
because of the system.
So
that
it is
system,
only here they confuse the
That
system,
system-
do what they want, but
me-
know that they can't do that. Then you step out even to a neighboring country.
Let me give you an example, and I'm not going to name names. I met a chief executive of a bank in South Africa, and we were at the airport. We were carrying our bags. Everybody was just behaving himself. And then we got to Lagos, and there were about 5-6 staffers of the bank waiting for him. As soon as they saw him, they basically collapsed on the floor. And they carried his things. And then his convoy of vehicle took one way, and they started. He couldn't have done that in South Africa.
No, it is not going to happen.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, because he knows that there will be consequences.
Oh dear.
But in this country, you can do anything and get away with it once you are a big man. This is part of the system, part of the systemic problem that we have. Now, in Lagos, for instance, somebody is driving against traffic. So you don't want to give way, you stop your vehicle, right? And ask him to go back and do the right thing. People who are just passing by.
Yes.
Who should tell this guy, what you have done is
wrong.
bad, go back. They start abusing you.
You start.
Say, are you the only one? Let him go, Joe.
Dr. Mbadagri, good morning and thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Yes, I just want to talk about Convoy by the state governor.
Okay, within the context of security being abysmally low in our society.
Yeah. You know, I remember when the first governor of Kebbi State was appointed. That was General Aziza. He did not want to use any convoy. He was just moving from his house to the office every day, ordinarily. But the elites told him that, please, we want you to use convoy. He said, no, there is no need for it. Then they said, our people want to feel that the governor is with them now, that the government has come to them. You know, it means that our people don't even know what is good for them.
Okay.
They themselves.
Okay.
Even though the governor did not want it, but the people wanted it. Now, talking about
in the convoy running
state, I think the federal government itself
Yes.
feels comfortable with accumulating the entire power to themselves. You know,
So maybe can I quickly check out? Can I quickly check with you, Dr. The idea, Governor Ortom's idea. What do you think about that? That law-abiding Nigerians who want it should be able to get arms.
No need of giving arms to Nigerians.
Okay. I just wanted to get your take on that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You know, the idea that everybody getting guns in the society,
everybody
in the
is
country,
able
to get it. Yeah, that's why I say that the existing laws do not even prevent people from getting it.
It's just that will you pass the
test? Of course, and that's required everywhere in the world. Background checks and all that. But the idea that we need more guns in this society, when we can't even cope with what we have, you know, it's a dangerous proposition. You know, so look, I was talking about the need for leaders of this country to come together. What we are doing is, you know, this kind of postulation, even from those who had been in government, had the opportunity to turn things around. And they keep whipping up sentiments and ensuring that, look, nothing works in this country. It's not going to take us anywhere. The last time I checked, poverty did not register with APC or PDP. So it's insecurity. We are all in this misery together. And unless we get up together and say, look, enough is enough, we must solve our problems. Look.
And we have to look inward.
The United States is not going to solve your problems for you. They also have their problems. They can help. But they must also see that you are also willing to help yourself.
In fact, it's a very long conversation because we ourselves are the most complex part of the whole problem. Our own attitude.
And it has not always been so. Don't forget that in the seventh Nigeria in the 70s is better than Nigeria in the 90s. Do you believe that?
Quite frankly.
You could go into any part of the country, you are welcome. This issue of, you know, I said to somebody, so you know what? When we were having a conversation, he said to me, you know why there is no unity in Nigeria? I said, no. He said, because government is unfair in distribution of political opportunities. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, okay. So was there a time we ever had fair government in the country? He said, yes. We had a fair government when they were appointing people from I said, so did we have unity then? He said, well, he cannot tell, but things were. Because these are not the reasons why countries are united. Countries must first of all define the clear purpose for the existence of that country and the common good and say, look, how do we go about this? If a country like the United States,
we've been having many conversations.
If a country like the United States have less than 20 ministers and a population of over 300 million, and sometimes these ministers are picked majorly from the southern part of the country, and people can go about their lives, their basic needs are met, the aspirations have been met, and
Nobody cares where you came from.
I don't care where the president comes from. Well, if I can pay my children's school fees, I have a roof over my head, I can feed. Who cares? Look at the parts of Nigeria that have produced president. Are they better than those who did not produce?
enough said. I think we should just leave the matter here.
So,
I take the point you're making. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, for airing your view on this particular idea. It seemed one of those that just jumped out that, hang on, every Nigerian that is able and that wants one should be able to get arms. That's an idea. Shall we say the jury is still out on that, to put it delicately. Thank you very much, Curtis Adiba. Our pleasure. Okay, we'll take a break now. We'll be right back, and we'll take on COVID-19 and the sort of a progress report. By the way, Nigeria passed the 1 million mark in terms of those that are the number of people that have been vaccinated. So if you've been vaccinated, you're one of the slightly over 1 million, and we'll see the implication of that. That's up next. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back, and just looking at statistical figures that are available. The Electronic Management of Immunization Data, EMID systems, shows that total clients, that is total people vaccinated in Nigeria, we're looking at slightly over 1 million. That is 1,051,900. 1 million, just slightly over 1 million, you know. So here we are, slightly over 1 million, not even that's been vaccinated. Well, I know that our 200 million includes people that are not eligible, babies and all of that, but still, 1 million, I guess we ought to be thankful that we even got 1 million. But first of all, give me, and they say this is about 60% of the coverage that we are able to do. That, you know, so that is to say, people are probably not coming out and not taking it up as well as we might have wanted.
Yes, I'm really worried about that, because if you remember very well, there are going to be 2 doses. You need like 12 weeks interval between the 2 doses of AstraZeneca, and the reason is because some people are afraid, others don't have access, because when this thing came out, there have been rules like if you're above a particular age, you have comorbidity, so it has been open to everybody. Then the other point is that they made it to go around the whole country, 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. And we had thought before that there would be intensity in some areas, what they call the epicenters, Lagos, Abuja, and some other places like that. So the 1 million you're talking about, you'll find that some of those epicenters have not been properly reached in an attempt to reach 36 states and Abuja. That's what we are now. So this 1 million, I think, is still poor. If you have 4 million vaccines, let's imagine that they want to even use the 4 million for the 2 doses. We should be able to have like 2 million by now.
By now?
Yeah, we should be able to have like 2 million by now. So we have the other 2 million kept behind. But then
for the
what is wrong in finishing the whole 4 million now and getting another set and going around it?
Maybe we're cautious, prudent. What if it doesn't come in?
It's free. It's free. The Indian government gave 100,000 more. That's why it's MTN free. Gave 100,000 more. People have been giving more to the government. Okay. So now we're not able to get up to, it's not 1,051,000 vaccinated so far. Now that to us could look nice in view of the conspiracy theories, the fear of AstraZeneca, and the fact that even among Nigerians, many people had believed that this thing never really existed. So we should even clap for ourselves that we're even able to get 1 million people to agree to take the vaccine. The other thing I'm worried about is that I hope very much that the preservation is intense and very, very well scrutinized, because this thing must be kept between 2 and 8 degrees centigrade.
Indeed, and I'm just sort of taking that for granted by now that
the cold chain is preserved.
Yeah, that we can preserve that. I'm just being positive. But a number of other things sort of have struck one. Suddenly the conversation is coming to, once I've got my complete dose, which we haven't got in Nigeria, once we've got my complete dose, am I therefore immune for life? And the scientists are saying, well, quite frankly, we don't know yet.
No, you can't be immune for life because one, this COVID-19 is here to stay with us. It's going to be like we have polio.
Polio, for instance, you're immune for life. Now you take one shot, and that's it.
So you see, this is severe acute respiratory virus. It's a very serious virus in the sense that even people that have even taken the vaccine, they have a theory that you can still get
infected again.
Yeah, yes. Even with the vaccine, the only problem here is, the only advantage here is that when you get infected with the vaccine, you'll not be hospitalized, because you already have the antibodies built up inside you. You're already immune, and you're like if we get malaria today in Nigeria, it will not be the same way a foreigner comes in from Europe, a Caucasian gets malaria. It will be tragic. So we are already immunized to a large extent. It's an endemic country. So with what we are saying now, the government is planning to have 70% immunized. If we can get 70% of people immunized, we get what's called herd immunity.
Of course.
With that, we can go forward and say, well, we will community.
Well, 70% just it's
that's 140 million people.
And right now we are at
just
1
million.
At half of 1%.
Yes, half of 1%.
Now, apart from you've just said now you can't expect to take the complete dose and therefore say you are immunized for life. In addition to that, you're going to have to need top-up shots.
Yes.
Apart from not being immunized for life, they'll come out and tell us later on. But probably the scientists, the doctors are going to tell us we now need an annual.
Not probably. That's obviously what it's going to be like. This thing is here to stay with us, so we're going to need it. Just like you need measles, take one shot of measles, but you have other conditions where, like the flu in Europe and America, every year you go for a flu shot. They take an annual shot. And this is in the same category with flu.
Yes.
It's not the same with polio or yellow fever. So we're going to have to take.
So this is not a sprint; it's a marathon.
It's a marathon
that we're in here.
It's a marathon.
I want to take Rev Dominic now, but after that, I want to quickly get you to talk about the idea that's coming out of the West now, where they're investigating, researching into whether you can take mix and match. Yeah. You can take the first dose in AstraZeneca, for example, and the second dose in another brand altogether. Yeah. But let me quickly hear from Reverend Dominic. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Youre.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning, Dr. Boyo.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
Okay, please, 30 seconds for the first topic, if you can allow me, please.
on whether you should be allowed to, acquire your own arms.
Yes.
Okay.
The question I should ask the person who suggests that is this. The day he was attacked, he had artillery, rescue, men and the women of police force, army force around him. And still he was attacked. Was he attacked because he was not armed, or was he attacked because he was vulnerable? What he was suggesting is an anarchy. The problem of Nigerian security will not solve because everybody has gone.
Okay.
You get anarchy.
Okay.
It's about good governance that will solve it.
Thank you for that point. Thank you for that point. I've got your opinion on that. Could you please shift to COVID-19, please? Dominic? Oh, I thought you were just going to take 30 seconds on that, which you've done, but I then wanted to hear what you were going to say on, but that gives me more time with the doctor. This idea is strange, or is it not strange? Maybe
it's not strange, because when we are desperate times call for desperate action. People are now saying that, look, if you've taken AstraZeneca, for instance, and the next round comes and it's Johnson & Johnson.
But that one is the one dose.
Yeah, can you take them together? People are now saying that, well, it's possible that they shouldn't see anything. In fact, most immunologists have said there's nothing wrong. They shouldn't see any harm in combining the two vaccinations. But as studies are going on and caution is advised that people should not take it that, you can do it. But if people have a reason to take it, it's good, you can take it.
They're investigating it right now and are yet to pronounce on it.
The people have taken both and they are now
some people have actually taken
mix and match, yes.
But isn't that only for tests, for research purposes?
No, not for research purposes. In some countries, they are now like, okay, you have AstraZeneca, can you take the Sputnik, the Russian vaccine with you? Yeah, it's a booster dose, you can take it. Because if they're all from the same family of mRNA, they believe that you can still take it.
Now, coming to this, that point you reached there, I was going to ask you, since you say, you can see the possibility, I was going to say, the technicality of both of different vaccines, they're not all operating one formula where you can just get a franchise license and you go and replicate. Yeah. Apparently they operate in different technical ways.
Yeah, they operate in different technical ways, but that's what is being investigated. Because you see, look at India. They are going through a crisis right now with a number of hospitalizations and deaths. At the end of the day, how many countries are going to be able to say they have enough vaccines to give out? And so the people are now looking at it, can we combine both? and they are studying it. If it's good, you can combine both because some of them may be compatible. That's what they are trying to say. Like now, AstraZeneca and Pfizer,
yes,
they're saying that, oh, by today, the studies are showing that it's not harmful. But they're still saying caution, caution. The medical advisory of the Europe and the NAFDAC equivalent of UK, they are saying they're studying it, they're advocating caution. But people are saying it's okay.
Let me. Good morning, Mr. Yakub.
Good morning, sir.
Sorry for keeping you waiting a bit.
Yeah, and then no problem, sir. And then good morning to Dr. Boyo.
Good morning.
To me, 1 million plus have been taken. I think the problem we have is that the information concerning that fighting is so low. It's so low in the sense that I'm looking towards a station whereby a local government chairman will lead the team of information going around the street. Let people know the reason why they should take this AstraZeneca vaccine. That is number one. Make them to know that there's nothing is going to happen to you if you took it. And then let them know the risk is there. You would have not even taken it.
Yeah.
Are you getting it now? But those are the things that was not there. In fact, the local government chairman should be the leader of the team. Make them know that as the local government chairman, I've already took mine. And then you make sure that the people know that you have took the vaccine. Because a lot of things going on. Even in fact on the social media, people are saying a lot of things that this thing is crazy. So basically, I have not taken my own, and then the reason is this: you have not got
it yet.
Yes, I've not got it. Although I've filled the form, and then my date.
What's the reason? What's the reason for your hesitancy? Why are you hesitating?
Hello, sir.
Why are you hesitating? I'm curious.
No, it's not like that because I've filled it online and then my date is next month. I just want to ask Dr. Boyo, can I just go there without my date? Are you getting it up? Because I would like to tell a lot of my friends have took this and then I asked them what is the outcome of the fighting. One of them says that it just has a mild pain and then after like 3 or a day everything is good and then it's okay. You get it. So I want basically why I call is that the local government chairman, I'm emphasizing on that. Those are the people close to the people in the locality. They should be leading the team. Go around the street, not that we just sit down in the local government secretariat and do nothing. Let people know the importance of taking this. That is it. Thank you and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Yakub. But to be fair, there's a lot of communication out there. CDC, Center
for Disease Control and Prevention.
Disease Control. They're on air virtually every day. They release daily bulletins. You can't miss the war against COVID-19.
Yeah, there are some issues here. The first one is that 70% of the population is below 30. So we find out that even if we're going to give everybody, 70% of 200 million is 240 million already will not be excited about taking it because at the beginning they said for the people that are elderly and for people that have other morbidities. So we have a story in our hands. And I think if you go to the vaccination site, you'll find out that there's a lot going on. There are people there waiting to get the vaccines and they are being actively vaccinated in Lagos State. Not that you go to the site and they are begging people. People are going there. In fact, I met people who had called me, can I help them get the vaccine? Can I help them get vaccinated? So people are really willing. The problem is not there are conspiracy theories out there, but people in Lagos in particular are willing and ready to take the vaccines.
That's
so
Lagos.
yes,
so
but also the uptake too. Okay. It's not just to say the vaccines are available. There's a number you can give in a day because of COVID-19 protocol. Crowding, how many people get to the injection, the site in a day, how many people can they give in a day? So if we want more people to get it, we have to make it more liberal, maybe put them in private hospitals maybe, or give them to every general hospital and let people know where these things are and let them know that if you get there, regardless of your age, if you're above 30, if you're above 40, if you're above 50, you can take it. People will take it. There have been very wonderful response to this thing, in spite of social media outcry and all kinds of things against it.
Mazio Korafo, good morning, sir, and thank you for holding on. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Dr. Boyo.
Good morning.
Dr. Boyo, I want to find out this vaccine we are talking about. The Johnson & Johnson. There have been a lot of stories about Johnson & Johnson, but what does it take in Nigeria to produce their own vaccine? But I'm asking this question because we are waiting. 1 million. How many people do we have? Over 300 Nigerian, 300 million Nigeria, only 1 million. Look at it, it's not up to 1%, 1%. Now, Dr. Boyo, the earlier the government sticks to our own local vaccine, you know what I mean by our own local vaccine, the better for us, because by the time they get up to 100 million vaccine to Nigeria, maybe it's around 5 years to come. Because the way we are going, I wonder what will happen between now and December. Whether we'll get up to 6 million or 10 million. Okay. Because the rate is very, very small. But before I go, I will take this issue of ammunition. Tell the federal government to give approval. Let everybody get its own ammunition. It will help us. But that was not withstanding. But this is sir. Do you know that Nigeria, the aggressiveness on Nigerian faces are too much? That is to say, something I even tell that before I thought you have not seen, I will just bring out this fish and say, Papa, which is not healthy, but let us say bye-bye to ammunition for now. Nigeria is not healthy to talk about everybody acquire ammunition. Thank you very much. Happy weekend.
Indeed. Same to you, Mazi.
Very quickly.
Yes, please. In closing.
The problem is not that we don't have enough vaccines. The problem is the vaccines being available and people taking them. So we may have a situation tomorrow where there will be more, just like ballot papers, there are more vaccines in places that are very, very, like in Lagos, and very few vaccines somewhere, maybe in Kiriji or some other distant places. So that's number one. Number two, getting our own vaccines is not a problem. The problem is that we're producing vaccines right now, where we are now, we take a lot of time, a lot of money, and the government over the years has neglected research. The Institute of Virology is informed. How equipped is it and how up to date is it? And what we are talking about now is not the old method of producing vaccines. This has moved on to the digital age now. So we shouldn't just think of government producing vaccines. We should think of even how we can buy the ones we have while we work on building from the bottom up, making sure that universities are well equipped. We have Medical Research Institute in Lagos here. How are they doing? What are these research institutes doing? So we'll get there later. We'll get there later.
Indeed, Doctor. You know, I know, of course, you're a man of science, you're a medical doctor, but our people who are not fans of the vaccine, to put it that way, it's not as if they're just sitting down and doing nothing. They are concentrating on their immune system. They're doing everything doctors have been saying, do everything you can to help yourself fight off any infection, in addition to being careful. You know,
COVID protocol,
all the COVID protocols. You know, so that's what they are doing, and maybe they have some traditional, you know, Eleweomo side of town, you know, where there are, you know, indigenous preparations, which they swear by.
There were 164,000 positives in Nigeria, and then 2,000 deaths. You know, let's look at India. India has our climate. India doesn't have snow; they have our climate. People are dying in India. I think we're just fortunate. We're just fortunate. And we shouldn't take the blessings of God for granted. You know, we're just fortunate. If this thing turns out to be like in America, nobody will be talking about all. So I think to a large extent, people have looked left and right and go to Lagos, go to Badon. People are going without masks. People are now having mass gatherings. People are now
we don't see it as an emergency.
Yeah, no, it's an emergency, because they will tell you, the COVID-19 in Nigeria is easy. It's not as difficult, and that's where we have to be cautious and warn people about it. The fact that the vaccine is available doesn't mean it's yet uhuru, like we will say. You know.
Indeed, I thank you for that. You know, note. But those who are yet to, you know, agree to take the vaccine, they are telling us that the risks of taking the vaccine far outweigh not taking it in terms of your general well-being and, more importantly, those of people around you.
No, because there's a risk in taking the vaccine, but the risk in taking the vaccine is far below the risk of being hit by lightning. You know, so
that is something going wrong. Something going wrong with the vaccine.
Yes.
Is we are saying that the risk is lower than the odds of being struck by lightning.
1 in 4 million. I mean,
so it says that you're better. In fact, maybe what I was trying to say, I was too clumsy about it, is that you're much better off taking the vaccine
than not taking it.
The vaccine.
Yeah. And this red blood clots we're talking about, we've not seen them in Nigeria. Most of the side effects we see in Nigeria, and again, we will say, are we monitoring them? Are we waiting for them? But you see, in Europe, Europe and America, the elderly, the type of diseases they have, cancers, and the kind of drugs many of them are on, we are not on those drugs here. Well, we don't live long.
Indeed, we got to leave it there. Thank you very much. As always, Dr. Amadele Aboyo, public health expert, telling us about this whole mix and match possibility. But we'll wait for them to pronounce on it. Yeah. Thank you very much, as I said.
Thank you very much.
So. Okay, then. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. You know the song by now. Mask up, wash your hands frequently, don't be in unnecessary crowds, and all the rest, the ones that I've missed out. Doctor is beside me there. Did I miss out any?
6 feet apart.
Indeed. Social distance. So I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. I'm Youre. Bye-bye for now.